John Mon here, enjoying some hookah in the morning. Today I want to explain to everybody a little thing about math and how you have to have opposites in order to have existence, yet they are one and the same. Here I have a little drawing today. Yay! You can only be in one of three states. You can be positive, you can be equal, or you can be negative. You can be happy, you can just be okay, I'm here, I'm not happy, I'm not sad, I'm just here. Or you can be sad. You can be rich, woohoo! You can be, I got a house, I got money, but I'd rather have money, to blow. Or you can be broke, like this guy. Which brings me to my next one. Here we have white, here we have black. Even though they are opposites, they are one and the same. What do I mean by that? Over here, I have my perfect white circle, in theory, bear with me. And then here I drew a little white man. Can you see him? No. Over here I have a black, everything's black. And I drew a black man. Can you see him? No. Over here I have black and white. Ta-da! You see my little man? You have to have opposites in order to have existence. And even though white is the presence of all light, black is the absence of all light. And even though they are complete opposites, they are one and the same, because you cannot have one without the other. If everything was black, how could you know you have white? Imagine you're in a black room and like way, way, way down. There's no light whatsoever. How can you see anything? How would you know anything existed without seeing? I mean, yes, there's other ways, but you get what I'm trying to say. If everything was perfectly black, you couldn't see anything. If everything was perfectly white, you couldn't see everything too. Let's say the sun was like 2 feet away from Earth. Not necessarily that close, but you get what I'm saying. And it's so bright, we're not going to melt. This is just our hypothetical thing, but it's so bright you just can't see, and the sun's just blinding you. If you're blind, you can't see. But if it's perfectly black, you can't see either. You have to have one in order to have the next, which brings us to infinity. Infinity is a perfect circle twisted on itself. See this? Twist it. Boop, you have that. Because in theory, God is everything, or ultimately whatever we call God is a combination of everything. But in order to have existence, you have to have opposites. You have to have positive in order to have negative. You have to have up in order to have down. You have to have white in order to have black. You have to have left in order to have right. You have to have man in order to have woman. You have to have good in order to have evil. You have to have Jesus in order to have Satan, because they are one and the same. Think about that. You can't have one without the other, but at the same time, they are one and the same. Yin yang, you have to have white, you have to have black, you have to have man, you have to have woman, you have to have up, you have to have down, you have to have left, you have to have right, you have to have excess in order to have negative, I guess. I don't want to say negative, I want to say a different word, but I can't think of it right now. Over here you have your little Star of David, your little Jewish side, your little 6-point star. The same is above as below. The same is above as below. The same is above as below. Think about that. You have to have one in order to have the other. You cannot be one without the other. With that being said, people ask me, John Bon, why are you always naked? Or why are you always, missing clothing? What is the first thing Adam and Eve, for those of you who are familiar with the Bible or any of the books, what did they do when they first sinned? They ran and hid because they knew they were naked. When you put on clothes, it's almost like you're putting on a security blanket. Remember, have you ever seen aliens, how they're always naked? Think about that. But that's just one of my theories in life. If you put on clothes, it's like a security blanket. I don't know why people put on clothes either. Nothing else puts on clothes but people. But you have to think about that. The very first thing Adam and Eve did when they sinned, they ran and hid because they knew they were naked. So every day when people put on clothes, in my theory, what you're doing is you're putting on a security blanket and you're committing to sin. Think about that, or fuck up at least. If you don't believe in sin, you're committing to be negative. If you put on clothes, it's almost like a security blanket of negative. Never mind. But you see what I'm saying. Have a good day. Become the greatest version of yourself.